Stephen and Sterling Clark really helped to define the changing taste for Impressionist and early modern art in the first half of the 20th century.
The Clark Brothers exhibition looks at Sterling Clark, our founder, and his brother Stephen Clark as collectors and in the context of 20th century collecting.
We're exploring the different personalities and aesthetic ambitions of these two remarkable art patrons, each of whom, in different ways, contributed to the founding and growth of some of the most important art museums in the country.
The purpose of this exhibition is to imagine what a joint collection would have looked like if the two brothers had assembled their collections and made a single museum.
Stephen's collection is particularly interesting because it's never been assembled in this way. We've chosen the masterpieces of his collection, and he mostly gave them or left them to institutions, and he sold off a lot of them, so it was never put together fully, and we're doing that.
I think one of the most exciting things about the show is the opportunity it has presented us to show some of great masterpieces of early 20th century art. The last gallery in the exhibition is devoted to works that Stephen Clark collected by artists such as Matisse, Van Gogh, and Picasso. We have on view Van Gogh's Night Cafe, which is an iconic image, one of Van Gogh's great paintings from the period when he was living in Arles. We have Cézanne's Card Players. The Matisse and Picasso paintings as well are all extraordinary works, and works that point forward into the development of modern art in a way that we aren't able to ordinarily present in our galleries.
Well, early on in the 19-teens and right into the early 20s, the brothers were very close, actually. Sterling was the older brother, and I think he took a certain elderly brother interest in what his sibling was doing. And we have some letters that indicate that Sterling was very keen on teaching his brother how to collect art, saying always use your eye, don't listen to the experts, look again, and go with what you really love.
The brothers grew up in a household where their parents had collection of art, and so they came into collecting from a kind of family tradition. And they both were very interested in 19th century painting.
Sterling and Stephen Clark were close when they were young, but after the death of the parents, particularly after the death of the mother, Sterling goes off abroad. Stephen stays in New York in Cooperstown, and Sterling's move back to New York brought them physically closer together, but in the end it did not facilitate their bonding. In fact, it led to a falling out in 1923, after which they essentially cut off all contact with each other.
I'd like to think that if the brothers had lived a little bit longer, they would have reconciled, because there was so much history there, and there was this early close connection, not only personally but also with their collecting. Stephen would have appreciated what his brother did in Williamstown in establishing the Clark, because Stephen was always thinking publicly and institutionally and working as a board member and working with institutions to bring the people and works of art together.
Sterling and Francine apparently sent a telegram and flowers expressing their sorrow at the death of Stephen's son. We don't have that telegram, but we do have a letter that Sterling received in late August 1952. It was sent by Stephen, and this letter contains in it a hint that a reconciliation might be possible at some point. At the very end of the letter, Stephen becomes philosophical, and he closes it by writing, all of which goes to show how transitory life is and how trivial are so many of the things we strive and struggle and fight about.
They are among sort of the most prominent American collectors of art in the, say, first half of the 20th century. You can think of Duncan Phillips, Mellon at the National Gallery, of course the Barnes Foundation, were within that group of kind of the most prominent, most active collectors of the period.
They were both very important and interesting collectors, but in very different ways. And the exhibition is a way to look into the differences between their collecting tastes as well as the similarities.
Visitors will be amazed at the quality of the works in this exhibition. Seeing it all together is an amazing experience, and it's extraordinary to think that what we see in these galleries brought together for the first time represent the efforts of two individuals.
I think this show is the closest we're ever going to come to asking what if, what might have happened if the two Clark brothers had not fought and had succeeded in building a collection together.